Dylan Wang, also known as Wang Hedi, is no stranger to the Chinese entertainment world. In a relatively short time, he has become one of the most recognized young actors, not only in China but also in various Asian countries. However, Dylan Wang once admitted that his fame came too quickly. He didn't graduate from a prestigious acting academy. He also didn't grow up with grand plans to become a superstar. Before becoming known to the public, Dylan Wang was just an ordinary college student from Sichuan, actively participating in various campus activities. He worked as a small-time advertising model, a campus host, and even entered talent competitions with the simple goal of gaining experience. A major change in his life came when he was cast as Dao Ming Si in the remake of Meteor Garden. This role changed his life instantly. With fame comes pressure. In several interviews, Dylan Wang openly admitted that he wasn't fully prepared for such fame. He said the public spotlight came too quickly, while his mentality and experience were still limited, that he had to learn to deal with criticism, harsh comments, and high expectations from the public, something he never imagined. Dylan Wang also once said that many people only see the end result, fame, fans, and success. But few see the process, the exhaustion, insecurity, and pressure to always look perfect. As an actor who immediately rose to fame, he often felt judged not by his abilities, but by his popularity. This made him realize that he had to work harder to prove himself. He began taking on challenging projects, improving his acting skills, and becoming more selective in choosing roles. Not just to prove himself to the public, but to convince himself that he belonged in this industry. Dylan Wang is also known for being quite honest about his emotions. He doesn't hide the fact that there are times when he feels mentally exhausted. On several occasions, he has stated that taking care of himself is far more important than simply maintaining popularity. He has learned to limit himself, maintain his health, and not push himself to meet the expectations of others. Despite being a public figure, Dylan Wang strives to keep his personal side simple. He doesn't want his life to be completely controlled by the labels idol or star. For Dylan Wang, acting isn't just a path to fame, but a long process of growing as a person and a professional. Today, Dylan Wang may appear confident in front of the camera. But behind that lies a long process filled with pressure, learning, and honest admissions about his weaknesses. And perhaps that's what keeps him relevant today. Not because he's perfect, but because he's real. Over time, Dylan Wang began to understand that fame isn't something he can control. The only things he can control are his attitude, hard work, and choices. He once mentioned that every new project comes with fear. Fear of not improving, fear of disappointment, and fear of being stuck in the same image. Therefore, Dylan Wang tried to step out of his comfort zone. He didn't want to be known forever for just one iconic role. In several projects after Meteor Garden, he consciously chose roles that demanded more effort, both physically and emotionally. He wanted the public to see the process, not just the instant results. Dylan Wang is also known for his discipline in maintaining his physical and mental health. Not just for appearances, but because the demands of his profession are very draining. Long shoots, tight schedules, and public expectations are pressures that not everyone can handle. Outside of acting, Dylan Wang often cites music and sports as ways for him to relax. For him, having personal space is crucial, especially when his life is constantly under the spotlight. He realizes that being a public figure means simultaneously receiving praise and criticism. And he chooses not to take it all personally. On several occasions, Dylan Wang has expressed that he has learned not to live for the validation of others. He wants to grow at his own pace, not be forced by trends or the pressures of popularity. This is also reflected in how he deals with his fandom. He appreciates his fans' support, but maintains that he is human and can get tired and make mistakes. Dylan Wang doesn't position himself as perfect. On the contrary, he has repeatedly stated that the learning process is the most important part of his career. Today, Dylan Wang is not only known as a popular actor, but also as a figure who has consistently built his career slowly but surely. He doesn't rush into titles or instant success. For him, surviving in the entertainment industry is far more difficult than simply becoming famous. And to survive, it requires mental fortitude, self-honesty, and the courage to continue growing. Dylan Wang still has a long way to go. But one thing is clear, his success today didn't come without pressure, doubt, and honest admissions about the difficult side of fame. And perhaps that's precisely why so many people are still interested in following his journey to this day. If you want to see a different, more honest, and factual side of the Asian entertainment world, don't forget to support this channel by subscribing and sharing this video. Because behind every spotlight, there's always a real story that's rarely discussed.